I have the moments where I feel sorry for myself and everything I've gone through. And I feel sorry for my family because it's definitely a family affair. And Shane had a lot to do with that. Okay, take your 5 minutes, cry, feel sorry for yourself, and then shake it off and move on. So I do that. I get the tears out, and then I go back to my faith. So again, I was up at 4 o'clock. I didn't, probably anticipation. Then one bird starts, and then the next bird, and then before you know it, they're all chirping. But the aurora borealis looked great. Did you catch it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I have something for you. Oh, and you got to give us your Dunkin' order. The bunnies. Shane, look at all the bunnies running. My name is Ilka Peters. I'm 61 years old. I live in New York State, and I'm a neuroendocrine patient since the year 2020.
My name is Shane Peters. I'm from New York, and I've been helping my mom through her next diagnosis since September 2020.
I was feeling symptoms for approximately 5 years before my actual diagnosis.
When I was in college, I'd get phone calls from mom saying she wasn't feeling well, and it was kind of periodically happening.
I clearly remember my first, I called them episodes. I was visiting my parents, got an excruciating stomach ache, like no other stomach ache. And I knew this was not a typical stomach ache, so I immediately called my GI doctor. He ran some tests and everything came back okay. So, you know, kind of shrugging it off, well, there's nothing alarming visible. So let's just wait and see what happens.
You know, it's crazy thinking about when mom first had these symptoms. I was in my early 20s, so I was not involved in my parents' health at that time. I don't think most 20-year-olds are.
I would be getting stomach aches probably once every 3 months. So it was odd because then I'd forget about it and live my life. And then all of a sudden I would have this episode.
And she'd be vomiting in bed, she would not feel good, no appetite. And she went to all the doctors around. And after a while, you almost want to tell your mom, like, I think you're okay. Like, all of these doctors are saying you're fine.
I wasn't getting answers for 5 years. I was going through that. I felt like nobody was listening. Some of the responses, one of my doctors said I maybe needed a therapist, you know, alluding to the fact it was in my head, which was frustrating. I would go with my list of complaints and I started to chart when it happened, trying to figure out, was it food I was eating? Was it alcohol? I was trying to pinpoint it myself when the doctors really didn't seem to have an answer for me.
You know, after dealing with symptoms for such a long time, they started to get more frequent. And my mom is a really great advocate for herself, and she basically said, I cannot live like this anymore. Something is wrong. And so finally she pushed to get another scan, and then that started the whole roller coaster ride.
I really pleaded. I said, something is wrong. We need to figure out what it is. And he gave me another CAT scan, and it was found. A mass was found in my pancreas. I was a special education teacher for 28 years at that point when I was diagnosed. And I was a workaholic, so that was a lot for me to balance now, having to deal with this big medical crisis right before a new school year is beginning. And it was hard for me to have to let go of work and my students and focus on my own health.
A couple days later, we got the phone call. Doctor called me up. I was at work starting the new school year, and he said, I have good news for you. And the first thing I said was, oh my goodness, it's not cancer? And he goes, not quite. It's called neuroendocrine cancer, and I think we got it early.
The ball started rolling and learning about neuroendocrine because in the beginning, we thought I was dealing with pancreatic cancer, and that's when my son stepped in to start to research what this cancer was.
Oh, it's crazy how things work in life, because not too long before mom's diagnosis, she made me her healthcare proxy. And I remember her telling me this, and I was almost superstitious. Like, don't tell me that. I don't want to know. Let's not talk about that. And then who knew we would need that so much sooner?
I was in a fog. I was almost like an out-of-body experience. I can't explain it. I was just walking around in a fog for days, weeks, trying to process what was happening.
I immediately went home, was Googling, was finding doctors, was booking appointments, because I thought that was my job at that time. Mom had to now go home and sit with this news, right? And in the early days, you literally are just sitting with it. You don't get the diagnosis and then immediately see a doctor. The waiting period of this is just torturous. But that's when I kind of said, I'll step in, book all the appointments, and start my research.
With neuroendocrine tumors, it's pretty common that you're automatically put on a monthly shot to help keep it at bay for life. And then along the way, you get your 4-month scans to keep an eye on it. And progression is the word you don't want to hear. Stability is a great word. So following all my surgeries, we now watch for the tumors that are left. So for my case, primary's gone out of the pancreas. I am left with the liver tumors. And I had a 23 surgery that removed about 20 more tumors. So on average, I might have 15 tumors left. So the scans watch them. There was more progression after the embolizations, so I just had my first systemic treatment, which was radiation, called PRRT. And that was 4 rounds over the course of 8 months of a radiation infusion.
You know, the term caregiver, I struggle with claiming that, because I'm not, forwardly caring for mom. I'm not there feeding her or other things like that. I think I provide a great support system for her. And there's many days when all I have to do is sit back and focus on my life, because I know that means a lot to my mother. But other days, it's going to the appointments, asking questions for her, looking at scans ahead of time, doing the research, just so we have all the tools needed for the future, and hopefully the long distant future, and just so we can feel most prepared going into every single appointment, so we can take away some of the stress that comes with the situation, though it's very stressful, no matter how prepared we feel.
Got through the surgeries. I was out of work about a half a year, and I prayed, dear Lord, please let me be able to go back to work to finish my 30th year of teaching, so I can get my pension if need be. And I did. I healed from the big surgery I had. Because I was feeling so good, I now was questioning if I should retire. And I literally prayed on it. God, I need a message. What do I need to do? Help me. The school needs to know next week. And I literally turned on my car, and Alice Cooper's School's Out came on. I said, message received, and I went home and told my family, it's time to focus on my health. I'm retiring. That's it. I never looked back. Slowing down with retirement, not getting up every day at 5:30, waking up when my body is ready to wake up, slowing down to enjoy my coffee, my walks, not rushing, just enjoying every day. The simplicity of every day is such a blessing that I now get to have.
You get a phone call and a doctor tells you that your loved one is now diagnosed with neuroendocrine cancer. And you can't even write it down because you've never heard of it before, right? Like neuroendocrine cancer, you hear neuro, is it the brain? Oh my goodness, what's going on? So you go to Google and you see that, okay, there's a lot of amazing people out there that are dedicating themselves to helping people with this disease. And quickly, I think I reached out to every single one. And as you go through time, you find out that there's just some incredibly just amazing people that want to help others. And I've become pretty active with the Neuroendocrine Cancer Foundation. Super grateful for them because they've blessed us with such guidance and support. And even more importantly, they've given us this foundation of friends that are getting it and going through it with us.
I am so blessed to have a son who has taken on my disease as if it were his own. And he not only helps me, he now helps so many people with this disease. So I kind of feel like it's a new purpose for him to help me plus other people. So as he reads and researches and sits in on support groups and conferences and gathers the information and the data and the studies and the options, he shares it with so many people to help them make decisions in their life.
Since entering this neuroendocrine cancer community, a community that nobody really wants to be a part of, I quickly found out how many amazing people are living with this disease. And you find out really early on that it's not something you have to do alone. So immediately I thought, I'll have mom focus on healing, mom focus on her health, while I take on all of the really nitty-gritty stuff of it. Researching, finding out the treatments, sequencing of treatments, finding the specialists, connecting with the people online that have been there and have done that. And soon, here I am talking to some amazing people who are now our dear friends in life. And I figured that my purpose in life, while yes, I'm a music teacher and I love that very much, I found another purpose in life, and that's to not only just help my mom through all of this net stuff, but there's so many other people who need that support, and I'm so happy to be able to do that.
There's been a role reversal at times where he's more the parent, the guardian, and I am the one needing the help and support. And then I have to remind myself that the caregiver, the caretakers, the healthcare proxies also need to take care of themselves because they carry the weight of the world in a sense and the stress. And I have to remind him sometimes, take a break. Let's not talk about cancer today. There are days I don't want to remember that I have cancer, where I want to be normal and healthy, and I remind him, you maybe take a break, because Shane has developed so many relationships with people who have the disease, and it's not always easy, it's not always fun, and he carries it all. Not just my situation, but so many other people's weight.
So all of mom's friends call her Miss Sunshine, and if you ever meet her, like, she is. Even when we go to the city for her treatment, she's always bringing bags to give out to the nurses or other people she sees. She just is the most selfless, kind person, I think, I'm obviously biased, but I think you'll ever meet. When we went back for one of her follow-ups, we visited all of the nurses that took care of mom in the hospital. And when mom was there recovering, she gave every nurse a pen. Small gesture, but when we went back, those nurses all had those pens still on them, and this was months later. And so we went and they gave her a big hug, we have your pens, and she just is the type of person that you meet once and she leaves such an impression on you that you'll never forget her.
It's so important for me to let all these caregivers, the nurses, the doctors, even the person who greets you at the doorway, know they're appreciated, because it's really a team. It's a community. There are so many people to be grateful for on the journey, and I need them to know how much I appreciate them. I need them to know that they are saving lives, because they have those days where they don't want to go to work, it's just a job, it's tedious. So maybe if my little small act of kindness and appreciation can boost them and remind them how important their role is in saving lives. I believe there's a purpose to everything, and I believe there's even a purpose for this disease that I have. And it's not always negative. There's a lot of great, good things that have come out of it. And I focus on the gratitude, because even in the worst case scenario, there's always things to be grateful for. And my life is blessed on so many levels.
I'm just so grateful for all the people in my life, from my friends who check in on me, to my mom's support group, her friends, and just my parents and my brother for really being a team. You know, it's so important. But at that same respect, I want to let everyone know out there that if you can't find your team, like, we're here waiting for you. We are your people, and seek us out. We'd be more than happy to help.
Loving. He's such a devoted, loving son. Probably one of my best friends. He's been a great support for me, and he's kept me positive, where he shares with me all the positives that we are dealing with and keeping me faithful that we're doing the right thing to navigate the disease. I'm so proud of him. I am so proud of him, yes. He's a superstar, and I call him Dr. Shane. He could be a doctor now. He knows so much. Yeah.
Neuroendocrine cancer is so different for everybody. There's not one size fits all. There's some that grow slowly, some that grow quickly. And I think the most important thing that you can take away from your diagnosis is find that support system, arm yourselves with the knowledge, find the specialist. And at the end of the day, you need to find trust in whatever route you're pursuing. And if you can trust it, you can sleep a little bit better at night. And if you have any questions or if you lack the trust, keep pushing till you find it.
If you are newly diagnosed with neuroendocrine tumors, I think the best piece of advice I can give is take one day at a time. Just the news alone is going to need time to be processed, and slowly acquire that information to learn about what you're dealing with. That's where finding a specialist comes in. That's where finding your team comes in to help you get that information. There are so many options, and it isn't a death sentence at all. There are options for you. There are treatments for you. And trusting the people who know the disease, it is going to help you get along that path.